Hi, all, this is Sean. So today's video, I thought I'd make a video about the kind of watches that I like at the moment and that I would buy if I had any money. And also it's January, it's just after Christmas, and a lot of people, me included, are trying to make an effort maybe to be a bit more mindful about the things that they buy and to not spend as much money after all the indulgence over Christmas. So I don't actually own that many watches, and I do try and be like I said, more mindful about what I buy. As you may not know, if you watch the videos that I make, and not many people do, is that I have kind of two kind of main watches, luxury watches, or my favorite watches, if you like, an Explorer, Rolex Explorer, and a Cartier Tank Must. And then I alternate with other more affordable watches and swatches because I really like swatches. Tell me what's on your wish list, because I'm always looking to find new things and new watches that are interesting and exciting. I try not to buy too many because after a certain amount I don't really wear them because I've got my favourites. So I'll make start. So it's not in any particular order or any order of preference or anything like that. And the first one is not even an actual watch. So the first one is a gold vintage watch. So I like really small watches. So this is the Cartier Tank Must. And I just think they suit me more than larger watches. So I can't really go above 40 millimeters. Well, I could if I wanted to, but I just don't think they suit me. Even back in the day, I had an Omega Seamaster, and it just felt too big on my wrist. And I've tried multiple, Seiko divers that are 44 or 42, and they just don't work for me. I love the Speedmaster. I used to own one. I couldn't really make that work on my wrist, but vintage pieces and smaller pieces kind of work. I mean, I think this looks really good on me. It really suits my wrist size, and I like when a watch, when it's like on your wrist as opposed to dominating. So a gold vintage piece. So I've thought about a couple of things, to be honest. When I search for vintage watches, I tend to go for Omega or Longines, or a brand like that that's reputable but not too expensive. And you can get like tank style watches for relatively affordable prices. If you were to buy an Omega gold watch, a modern watch from a boutique, and new, it would be what, £10,000, even more. Whereas you can get half decent ones for 800, 1,000, slightly more. And I think vintage watches are great because they do have that kind of authenticity and story behind them, even when they've been signed by the person. So like, it could be a watch for somebody's 25th anniversary working for a company. It says 25 years working for British Gas or whatever. I kind of like that because it gives a story to the watch. I think the only thing that puts me off a little bit with vintage watches is that you don't know how they're being treated and you don't know the authenticity of them. Some people aren't bothered about that. I kind of am, because I think if you're buying something like that, you don't want it to be kind of adulterated or like a Franken watch or whatever. Even vintage Rolex Datejust or something like that would work completely well on my wrist, and that would be a bit more expensive in terms of my budget. But yeah, a 34 millimeter gold vintage watch. I kind of occasionally wear a gold ring, and I try to kind of scratch the itch with, I'd go on my shelf here, like a Casio, like a gold Casio. That didn't really work in terms of scratching the itch. It's a completely different vibe, I think. But yeah, that's the first one. The second is the Citizen ProMaster Titanium Diver. So for a while, I've looked for like a a dive watch, a relatively affordable one, probably a Japanese brand, so Seiko or Citizen in the main. Mainly, I think I would gravitate towards Seiko, but a lot of their watches tend to be bigger. So I just came across this. It came on my feed on Instagram, and it's just cool. It's just like a traditional black diver watch. It's got a Mercedes dial. It's made out of titanium. I like Citizen. I've had their watches before, and I've always been impressed by their quality. It's automatic. I think it's about like 600, 700 pounds. And I've read reviews of it, and apparently it wears really well. I think it's 40, maybe it's 41. That is a cool watch. I think that would be my favorite if I was to buy a dive watch. It's something a bit different to what I currently own. I've owned titanium watches in the past, and they're quite nice to wear because they feel just feel good to wear because they're really light. So yeah, that's the second. The third is the Cartier Santos. This is probably not going to happen anytime soon, but I really like the Cartier Santos. The current model, I don't like the way you can only update the straps with like proprietary straps, and I prefer the smaller sizes from the older ones. So the Cartier Santos in the 90s for a man was like 27 millimeters. The medium now is 35, and you know the large is even bigger. And I think Cartier watches just for me look better in the smaller sizes. Like an automatic Santos in the last iteration, I think they're 32. They're just so cool. And like a two-tone or an all steel automatic, they're still pretty expensive because I think they're still pretty desirable, and obviously you can switch out the straps, which you can't do with the modern ones. It's just such a cool design. To be honest, the Santos, when I first came across it, I thought it was a bit hideous. I mean, it's in a way it's a bit of a dated design. I think people have referred to it as like a granddad watch in the past. Theo and Harris, I think, said that. And I completely get that, but the design's completely different to any other brand really, and it's got the rivets, and it's just a cool watch. So for the Tank Louis, the Tank Louis is my kind of watch that like I dream of buying, and it's not really a dream. Like it's not like if I wanted to buy a Lamborghini, that would be I don't, but that would be completely beyond the realms of possibility. I could potentially afford a Tank Louis one day, and that could be completely my only watch. Obviously it's not ideal because it's not, you couldn't jump into a swimming pool wearing a Tank Louis and things like that, but it's just, this is amazing but completely overpriced for a quartz watch. And what I look for and what I think I want from a watch is authenticity. This is a battery powered watch that's essentially it's made for the mass market, isn't it? And I know Tank Louis are as well to a certain extent, but I just think there's a romance with a precious metal Cartier. The design's amazing. The fact that it's a mechanical movement is great. You could be proud to wear it. I've considered, trading the Explorer plus this, plus maybe a little bit more money, and then just having that one watch. But it is good to have the Explorer if you think about it. It's a bit more robust and things like that. But that's my dream watch. That's the goal for me to get that watch, and to, if you've never tried a Cartier Tank, you should try one because it makes me feel stylish when I'm wearing it. Just the way they wear on your wrist is just awesome. Don't get the XL because it's too big. But number 5, the PRX, the Tissot. I really like this watch. I mean, people were a bit scathing about the movement containing plastic and things like that, but I'm thinking particularly of the carbon one. It's just a cool watch. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the Zenith Defy, and it's just a little bit different. It's something that I don't really have. That it's got that 70s design, but it's also carbon. I've never owned a carbon watch. it's cool. It's just cool. And then there's a few Seikos. Seiko Mini Turtle. I've owned it before. It was a reasonably sized Seiko diver. I love the watch, but the reason that I got rid of it was because the bezel wasn't right for me. I think it might have been because it was bought from eBay second hand. Again, if you've got a smaller wrist, the Mini Turtle's great. I'm not even sure whether they make it anymore. If you know whether they do, if you just hit me in the comments, but you can still get it. They're easy to get. Then the Seiko Captain Willard. Again, I've owned the turtle before. It was way too big for my wrist. I think it was 44 millimeters. I think the Captain Willard's slightly smaller, the reissue. I do love the design, and I like the fact that it's a little bit kind of idiosyncratic. It's not like other dive watches. Having said that, I think it's probably a kind of love-hate design, and you couldn't really wear it in kind of smarter circumstances. It's just too strange as a watch. But you know, again, it's a really good watch. It's competent as a diver, and it's good quality as well, because I've owned watches from that range before. The only watch that I ever that's wrong, but the main watch that I've regretted selling is the Alpinist. Occasionally, as I'm going through old photos, I see myself wearing that watch, and it just looks so good on my wrist, and it looks good on different straps, and it looks like a good quality watch. I sold it, and I sold it for a really good price for the person who bought it, not for me. They've gone up so much in price since then. I should have kept it. I was an idiot not to. I don't think I'll be able to buy one back. I don't think I'll be able to justify it, because it's very, very expensive for what it is. And obviously you can pick up the newer range. I would get the Saab. It's 017, isn't it? It's just a cool watch. A couple of swatches. One called What If, which is the square swatch. I did not like these, and I thought they were too big. This is 25 millimeters by 33, I want to say, or something like that. The swatches are much bigger, and I thought it's too big. But then I saw a guy in the swatch shop wearing one, and it looked very, very good on this guy. He's probably got a bigger wrist than me, so it wouldn't work as well on me. And last time I bought a swatch, when I was in the shop, I was torn between that and another one. And I didn't buy it, but it's completely on my list. I think it's something a bit different as well for Swatch. You know, obviously they're not associated with square watches. And then the second one is another Swatch Skin. The Swatch Skin is thin, ultra thin, and it's called Coral Dune. It's got like a fabric strap. It's just cool. I really like Swatch. I like the kind of playfulness of the designs, and I think for what they are, they represent decent quality. They're not supposed to be really high quality. They're supposed to be affordable. To be honest, the Coral Dunes is maybe £120, which is quite expensive for a Swatch watch, but it's still cool. And then last but not least, or maybe last and least, depending on your viewpoint, the Apple Watch Ultra. I've owned an Apple Watch. It was the SE, and the battery life is awful. Like, it doesn't even last for a day. But the Apple Watch Ultra, it's titanium, it's bigger screen, it does more, you can wear it in water, things like that. And I just think it's cool. I'd like to try it at some point just to see if it's any good and if it's worth the money. I ended up wearing the Apple Watch on this wrist while I wore a watch on this wrist. But yeah, I do like Apple products. I'm making this video on an Apple laptop, and I've got an Apple phone, and I really do like the products. So I'd like to try one at some point. Anyway, yeah, so that's my list of my watch wish list for 2025. Let me know if you've got any watches that you're wishing for. And if you like the channel, please subscribe, because that really helps, and it makes me know that people are actually watching the videos. So thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.